Greetings and welcome to the energy of Leo. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. This is a reading for the energy of Leo, the month of June 2022. And we'll go ahead and begin. Now, what I'm seeing here is an activation through the other. Okay? What does that mean? It means that once you approach the realm of the other, okay, people come into your life. Something about them is supposed to give you a type of insight, okay? This comes through a form or a structure of change. What does that mean? It means that there are two things or two facets about these people that come in, okay? Meaning that there's something primarily Aquarian about them. And the mystery of Aquarius is that they will forever and never be a part of this society, of what we would call the human race. Something almost robotic about them, or sort of automatic about them, in which they go from their own independence into a realm that cannot be touched by you or me. At the same time, there's something about them in particular that has to do with the idea of devotion to them, of tending to them in some sort of way, these people that come into your life. And there is a need for a transformation not only in the way you approach them, in the structure in which you approach them, but also a sort of divide or a block, a challenge into the way you would normally approach them. Okay? This has to do with Pluto's energy here in retrograde, combined with Saturn in Aquarius, and the retrograde Pluto is in Capricorn. Okay, meaning that there's something about your devotion to work, okay, that is activated through other people, and essentially you find a way or a means to activate the ingenuity of Aquarius, okay, the pioneering energy of Aquarius, in which you can find insight or vision into the future, okay, into futurisms. One has to do with a very steady reality that is also transforming and shifting, that has to do with your work, your daily routine, also any blocks, how you deal with blocks in your everyday, okay, and how to ritualize these in such a way. The ritual in itself, the very mechanisms of behavior are changing. There's something about that, that will come forward after Pluto is in retrograde, into direct, okay? And this will bring a future version of yourself, but also future versions of the other. They will look to you as leaders. They will also look to you for some sort of emotional or perhaps fortunate healing capacity. They will look for you to nurture them on this path. Meaning that there's something about you that will allow for the insight and the vision to work to your benefit, not only to yourself, but to others. And you can bring and enlighten people on this path, okay? What would happen if this were so? Okay, let's see. Firstly, the placement of Saturn in Aquarius would activate through the 7th house, through other people, a sort of conflict and a resolution that can come through it, okay? It would activate firstly your 7th house, Saturn, so people that are very rigid in nature, they're also limited in some sort of way. When it comes to your interactions, there's something about you that would be rebellious, or wouldn't want to deal with the norms or the regulations of anything that is tied to business, that is tied to institutions, or that is tied to society. And there's something about you that would find others that would also help you to go against anyone that is authoritarian in nature, okay? Or you may encounter others that have this authority but are resisting change in some sort of way, okay? What this activates is a challenge directly to your own career or your specified sort of karmas that are directly linked to the sacrificial bull energy here in Taurus, and 4 planets, including the North Node. So that's 3 planets. That's Mercury in retrograde, in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, and Venus in Taurus, that are eliciting your house of karma. Okay, the 10th house, as well as your house of purpose or your house of reality. Okay, activates a square there, so others would challenge your place of work, also your desires, your ambitions, or anything that is slow to change, that is represented in the sacrificial bull energy. Okay, what does that mean? It means that if there are things or structures that are being worshipped to, languages or proliferations of ideas that have to do with the bringing in of Venusian energy, that is secret energy, that is energy that is tied to knowledge, okay, systems of knowledge, or valuing certain things that have to do with knowledge. What is reality? What is, what is valuable in terms of economical or ecological standpoints, okay, are being sacrificed, okay? And this is not a very steady energy for Leo or for Taurus, okay? Meaning that there's something about you that will find others, and these others will come in direct sort of contradiction, or challenge the sense of things that are valued, or the way money is handled, or the way art is creatively produced, or certain things that are related to your 10th house, your career. Something about this where there's a new birthing or sacrifice in terms of career, and through the death sequence, something new coming about, fertility primarily, okay? And that is the sort of topos, or the logos of sacrifice in ancient cultures, okay, primitive or anything in antiquity. In the lineage of time, bulls were sacrificed in order to provide fertility, from the gods, essentially. Okay, what does this mean? Well, for one thing, it'll activate your 8th house in the energy of Pisces, moving over into Aries. So times of war, times of crisis, actions are produced from this sort of sacrifice, okay? It has to do with the latent mind, the fixed mind, a way of thinking, a way of desiring that becomes sacrificed, a way of moving forward, a lot of activity here, okay, in which there is a sense of sacrifice, so that benefit can happen in terms of transformations within the dream world, transformations in terms of spirituality, something deep and spiritual, some sort of insight would come in your 8th house, okay? Meaning that you have the ability to look in the deeper parts, okay, after this activity in Taurus, to look into the deeper parts of your own life and go through a type of transformation of your dreams and a flexibility of your dreams, embracing a lot more mutability, okay? And this would affect your daily routines, especially your workplace, especially your routines, especially things that you would ritualize every day, okay? So I see nothing but good in terms of this. One thing that would come into conflict are the actions that are designed by others, especially when it comes to global economies or shared resources on a global level, war, all of these energies that are climatic or climactic in nature, with Jupiter and Mars in conjunction in Aries, an accentuation of war, wartime, okay, that would come into direct conflict with your own sense of place, with your friends and your colleagues, or perhaps places of nurture that are designed around your ambitions, your goals, as well as your aspirations, and anyone on the global front. There would be a sense that you would need to care for these, or at least there wouldn't be a way to empathize with them in some sort of way. There wouldn't be a way to sympathize with them. One way to look at this is that your own philosophies are going through a shift or a change, or perhaps there's something that you can value in terms of the natural beauty that comes through Venus and Taurus energy, meaning that your creative capacity, especially when it relates to your own truth or your own philosophy, higher education, and its relation to work, would be tempering something that is tied to the idea of the golden calf, the golden mean, and the golden ratio in Venus and Taurus energy. What does this mean? It means that something about you, your inner world, is being designed and tailored in such a way that would be activated by the violent and explosive energies of war and pioneering violence. Okay, in a way, the 8th house that is designed to transform something and bring forward your own inner world, challenge your own inner world of nurture, and then you would feel almost a humanitarian edge to others and produce, in effect, something through this sacrifice, something very special, something very sensual, and based on something that you can value, okay, in terms of your own truth, okay? How does that relate to what's going on in the outer world, okay, of violence? Hmm. So it's not going to be an easy month in terms of your work as well as your career, karmas that are directly linked here that you want to perhaps clear by providing some form of sacrifice in terms of your own value systems or workplaces, your own career, and essentially trying to get rid of a karmic slate in terms of that through sacrifice, okay? Something, that emerges. There also is a relation here of the sun's energy in Gemini that triggers this need for a transformation, okay? um, it will be supporting essentially the idea that you can learn from the violent or the expansive actions of others, especially when it comes to their fanaticism or their zeal or this need to transform something that is deeper, that has to do with shared resources, something you can learn through that. Okay, I think it will be provided in terms of what you're looking for in terms of insight when the eclipse season becomes more active. Okay. Now, in terms of where you're coming from, okay, in terms of where you're coming from, where you're going to, I don't see the too much in terms of addressing uh, what you would call addressing the karmic past. Okay, I think it's generally untouched. There's a lot of what's going on in terms of uh, the outside world, in which you can retreat to the inside world and find solace there, find peace there, find perspective there. And if you were to do that, you would understand something about truths that happen on a global collective perspective, okay? Having to do with especially the war that is outside and the peace that is inside, how these cannot be um, sort of in conflict. Through some sort of meditation that occurs in places of home or the inner world, what I'm seeing for Leo is nothing but good in terms of the relation of an outside world that is violently shifting and producing modes of sacrifice. Okay, that you can learn from once you go out into the world and interact in terms of the outside world, especially in terms of career or your business. You will find that coming back into home is the place in which you can find the most perspective. Okay. That is all I have to give for this month. Uh, Forgive me for my ignorance if you may have found me to be ignorant, or I would hope that I've given at least some clear insight in your path. And I have nothing but respect for the energy of Leo. I do wish you well. Bye bye.